Hi guys, good morning. This is Daniel. Welcome to my channel, Engelgeist. For those of you that are new, welcome. For those of you that are returning, welcome back. For those of you that subscribe to my Patreon, thank you so very much for your support. It helps me to make ends meet and keep things going around here, so I really appreciate that. Anybody that's interested in supporting me with a monthly subscription should go to patreon.com. Look up Engelgeist and choose a subscription level over there. You'll get the daily forecasts a day early, and there's also other readings that are available to you over there. We're waking up a little bit late this morning. This is your weekly reading or the weekly forecast. Sundays always double as a micro. What is that noise? Microcosm versus macrocosm. Look at our week ahead, right? So the three cards begin Sunday, but they also like sort of play out throughout the week. The neighbors are making a lot of noise this morning. I also have a weird headache this morning. I got it last night while sitting in bed trying to fall to sleep. I think it has to do with the new moon. I don't know. I was wide awake last night in bed till past 2 in the morning. So we're going to see how this reading goes. I'm excited to see where the energy takes us this week because last week seemed kind of powerful. I'm going to maybe shut this door just because the neighbor's dog is barking. 1 second. I also want to try something new, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. Hopefully I remember to do it. Right now, while you're listening to my voice, I want you to arrange a question in your mind for this week. And it can be a question around anything, okay? It can be a question around, say, romantic interest. It can be a question around a career choice, whatever your question is that you want a little bit of guidance on this week, okay? We're going to do some bottom of the deck energy. So after I do the first 3 cards and then do the last card, we will check bottom of the deck so that we'll see that this will be the answer to hopefully the majority of your guys' questions, whatever this energy is in this card, okay? So let's get into, I'm going to start shuffling, and I'm going to tell you guys the same spiel I always tell you. If you want to support me, please follow me at Engelgeist333 on Instagram. Please hit the subscribe button if you're new and watching me on YouTube or on my business page. And also hit the notification bell so that you can be notified when I go live. I do free card pull nights, things like that. I also am available for private readings. If you're interested in that, you can message me either at Instagram or at the Facebook business page. This reading is for the week of the May 24th through Saturday the 30th, or basically through almost the end of May. If you're watching this at a time that's not these dates, don't worry. This could have some meaning for you at a different time. I always intend for the readings to be timeless. I believe that Spirit has a way of finding the information and getting it to us exactly when we need to see it. So if you found me and you're seeing this video and it's not May 24th through the 30th, that's okay. There still may very well be a message in here for you. Remembering, keep that question in your mind, guys, as I'm shuffling, because this is the deck that card from bottom of the deck energy we're going to look at the end of the reading, and that will be the answer to our question. Hopefully it pertains to the week that whatever week you're in when you're watching this video, okay? So it doesn't have to be the 24th through the 30th. We're going to try a new something on the weeklies, where we get to ask a question and receive some guidance from an extra card, if that makes sense. Alright, so what do we need to know? Each card represents for about a day or two. Some of you, it might be, you might only experience one of these cards throughout the week. Some of you may experience all of these cards and then some. It really depends on, a lot of different factors. Decisions you're making, zodiac, sign, energy, all of that stuff. But this is a broad overview that gives you guys insight into what you may be dealing with or what you want to focus on for this week. Starting with Sunday. All right, let's see what we've got going on. Okay. So our first card for the beginning of the week is the Wise Fox. think this is the death card. I need to double check this. Let me grab the book really quick. I believe this is death, the way she's dancing with that skeleton, but let me make sure. Hey, Wise Fox, what's going on? This is a new card to me. This is also a new deck to me. It's been a lot of fun. But I want to figure out, is this the death card? It is. Okay. I knew it! So, what I love about this, I'm not sure. Let me just look at this for a minute. Death is never a card that we want to see, right? Everybody freaks out about the death card. To me, though, death is one of the most pivotal cards of the deck. Death is a function, in my mind, that we all have to face at some point, and that's every living thing, right? Be it a tree, an animal, a human being. We all have to sort of wrestle with the idea, concept, and experience of death. In Tarot, I believe that death is sort of more about change, rebirth, the opportunity to let go, the opportunity to sort of free oneself at a very profound level from something that we've maybe been dancing with for a long time, right? This could be a situation, this could be a partner, this could be a job that we maybe aren't in love with anymore, or that doesn't inspire us anymore. This could just be a relationship to ourself, or a way that we see ourselves that needs to be let go of, that needs to be released. And when death comes in, the thing about the death card that I think is scary for most people is the inevitability of it all. There's no fighting it, right? When death comes a knocking, it's your time, right? And this also happens around just normal life things, right? Everything sort of experiences change and metamorphosizes. We don't want things to stay stagnant or static, right? We think that that is a sense of security, but it's not necessarily, ever. And so, to me, when I look at this card, this woman, she's dancing with this skeleton, right, which would represent death in the night, in the darkness of the night. So we might be experiencing some fears, some worries, some unknownness with this card, and that unknownness, that would represent the dark night sky. That might feel a little bit overwhelming. That might feel a little bit, the unknownness of it all might be a little bit spooky. But she has to do the dance. We have to do the dance. We have to kind of see ourselves forward through this night, right? Through this sort of experience. And we have to sort of be brave and trust ourselves and the experience. It's also with this angel here, I feel like there is protection. I feel like she's actually protected on both sides, with both the skeleton and the angel. I feel like they represent both aspects of sort of good and bad, but both are kind of protecting her and guiding her, if that makes any sense. So I feel like as long as she trusts herself and her own innate wisdom and her own sort of strength, that's kind of what death drums up in us. Death experiences, or experiences around loss of, whatever it is we need to let go of, right? That's no longer working for us, actually can be very empowering in the long run. We don't feel like it when we're in the moment. We might feel like we're being spun around, or being forced to make choices that we're not ready to make, or choices are being made for us that we're not in line with. But that's not necessarily the truth, because I feel like this angel here is sort of spirit, or our guides, our guardians, working with us behind the scenes, moving us along when maybe we haven't allowed, maybe our ego hasn't allowed us to move on, or our own fears, or our own desire for security, whatever that is. Right now we're in sort of this unknown time. So to me, this death card speaks to the idea of walking through a challenging experience and trusting ourselves, our own sort of guidance, and the experience itself to sort of better us, to educate us, to rebirth us, to give us a fresh perspective. Death is also major arcana. This is a big card, guys, to kick the week off with. So whatever we're pondering in the beginning of this week, whatever we might be changing or shifting or moving away from, could be rather profound for us. and teach us quite a lesson. Why can I not think of what fox energy is? I can't think of what fox medicine is off the top of my head. It's not cunning, is it? I don't feel it's cunning, but I can't remember. Foxes, I'm just going to say because I feel like there's a reason why she's placed this fox in this card. They, to me, are very intelligent, highly sort of evolved animals. And so I think that the fox there is also, to me, in my mind, representing our connection back to nature, Mother Earth, right? So we have spirit, body, and sort of nature here. To me, is what I'm sort of feeling like. This is like triple connection. The three, so the mind, what is it? The mind, the body, and the Holy Ghost, right? So maybe the skeleton would be more the mind, right? And then the fox would represent sort of the body, or our connection to the earth, the physicality of this realm, the angel being spirit, and it's the dance that goes on with the three, right? And where do we fit in that dance? Are we leading? Are we being carried? Are we trusting where we're being carried? So that's the questions that I feel like this card poses to us in the beginning of the week. Let's see what's going on for the midweek. Whoa, okay. The Hanged Man. So, again, another major arcana card. Some of you, and remember, this is a microcosm for the day of Sunday, so Sunday might be challenging for us a little bit. We might go through some emotions on Sunday, but this is also the totality or the underpinning energy of the entirety of the week. This Hanged Man, to me, is always about feeling stuck. There's always this awareness with the Hangman that the rope here, he can reach up and untie himself at any point in time, but he has to make that choice. He has to make that decision. He may be somewhat preoccupied with sort of myths or fantasies around a certain situation. That sort of, to me, is this mermaid. This is sort of, to me, this circular thing behind him is kind of like that swirling energy, maybe in his aura, a fixation on being, why is this not working? Why can't I achieve this? What the hell's going on? A worrisome, like we have this clock here on fire, creating all this smoke that also, to me, speaks to this idea of being obsessed with time or expecting it in a certain amount of time. And when we do that, we kind of hang ourselves up into a position that maybe isn't most beneficial for us. The moon and this wolf here, to me, are like calling out for our attention, trying to calm us, is what I feel like in this card, like our intuition. We need to connect back to ourself, I feel like. The fish here, to me, I've noticed that fish seems to be like this reward kind of image in this deck, or at least that's how I'm interpreting it. To me, he's like looking at the reward and feeling like he can't access it, he can't grab it. So if we find ourselves frustrated in the midweek, don't be surprised. If there's a little bit of fear going on in the early part of this week, in the beginning and the midweek, don't be surprised. Whatever this fear is, it's challenging you. It's challenging you in a very profound way to face it, trust yourself, trust your environment, trust the experiences you're having as needed and warranted and wanted, and then to sort of release yourself from the outcome in a way. I also feel like she is, as she's dancing in circles here, it's sort of what ties us up in the middle of the week. If we don't like, to me, this feels a bit like that idea, and I always say this, guys, that let go or be dragged energy. It feels like that. Some of you guys are going to be struggling with something where you're feeling stuck, you're not wanting to let go, you're not wanting it to change, you're not sure, you're unsure of what the outcome is going to be, and so I feel like we're obsessed with the worry of that. And really what I feel like, to me, is when I look at this Hanged Man, he may be obsessed with the worry, but this Death card calls me back, and I almost hear it saying, like, you can't fight this. It's going to be what it is. So make the decision. Try not to be obsessed with the time. Try not to be obsessed with the negativity. Try and understand that once he unties himself, he falls right down in front of that fish and he gathers the prize, right? Or gets some sort of learning, some sort of benefit out of this experience, right? but he has to sort of, to me, the wolf here, or this coyote, that could be some of that trickster energy that we saw last week, right? If this is a coyote, to me, this is more like a lone wolf, which speaks to the idea of going inward, trusting oneself, finding that connection to self, and attaching to one's intuition. Like those things feel like they're calling out to you in the midweek. Do you have enough of a focus to bring yourself back in and bring those the focus off of, say, like maybe a lack of time, a lack of opportunity, feeling stuck, and unhanging yourself, if that makes sense. Now, the end of the week card, let's see what this is. Wow. It's the Spirit of Cups. I believe this is like the Page of Cups. Let me just double check this. Or is it the Knight? Let me just make sure. Cups is the element of water. Let me see here. This is the Knight of Cups. Okay. This is a whole death, rebirth process. That butterfly is screaming at me transformation. That butterfly is screaming to me about the idea of us sort of letting something die in the midweek, struggling with the loss of that in the beginning of the week, making decisions or really looking at things. And also, she calls this card the Wise Fox, which to me is that cunning energy, or that intelligence, that smartness, that awareness that we have to let it go. Being maybe hung up in the midweek in fear about having let it go or having it taken from us. But then we have to go inward. That's this connection to this wolf and this intuition. We're going to have to let go of this stress. It's just not going to work for us. And we're going to have to go inward. We're going to have to, like, she almost looks like an embryo or a fetus, like we're being sort of reborn. That's the transformation of that butterfly. The imagery of that butterfly. All of these roots growing around her, right? All of this energy swirling around in her aura. I feel like these cards are telling me that we have an opportunity to redefine ourselves this week, to reestablish ourselves this week. This being the Knight of Cups. Knight of Cups to me also speaks to the idea of love, emotions. This could be self-love, especially with her feeling so in her own world, or in her own cocoon in a way, right? She is going inward. She is facing herself. She is facing her own emotions. But there's a growth happening here. There's a transformation happening here. There's something where I feel like if we're actually rolling with these headier energies of these major arcana cards in the early part of the week and making these choices, freeing ourselves from these situations that are no longer working for us, we can then go inward and start to redefine ourselves, start to rebirth ourselves into something rather beautiful. And that's the Cups energy, right? That's that energy of really looking at what, yesterday's grounding stone was desire, and for the week of for the whole week last week was happiness. To me, this could be sort of the going in and the continuation of looking deeper in at ourselves at an emotional level, protecting ourselves if we're not doing so. Right? Listening to ourselves. The Knights also are about sort of protection, servitude, being of service to the kings and queens. So to me, this Knight or they call this the Spirit of Cups. To me, this is like connecting to our emotional self, our spirit, in this knightly way of service, of gratitude, of protection, right? To me, with Knights, they always bring new sort of experiences or new information. Sometimes information tends to be a little bit pagey. Like the page to me is always about new learning. Knights can be sometimes unexpected information that we didn't otherwise have. So there could be at the end of this week not only our own personal transformation where that surprises us, but we may be learning about something that we want at the level of spirit, that we were unaware of, that we aspire to, that we need to become comfortable with. That's also this incubation period I feel like she's in this card, is us resting with that desire, resting with that that emotional desire. The Knight of Cups is about emotions, about, I also feel like he's about bringing love, right? But this is not a he in this deck, obviously. But to me, this is about us, like, focusing emotionally on what we want and transforming ourselves, taking the time to really connect that to our emotions, to our spirit, go inward, and allow it to be born into the world. It'll be interesting to see what next week's cards are, but we're leaving this deck as of the 31st, so we'll have one more day with this deck and then we go into a new deck. So you guys are working on something sort of major, and if you don't feel as though you are, you very well might be, even from your own home, if you're feeling like you're not doing anything specific. There's stuff going on in the background in your subconscious that you should maybe like acknowledge, is what I'm feeling. So interesting. This is from the Mystical Shaman Oracle. This is the Time Master. And remember, we have this worry about time happening here, where it's set on fire, it's burning us up, it's creating clouds, confusion, that sort of thing. Like, obsessed with time. I could certainly think of situations in my life where I'm sort of looking at the clock and going like, okay, when is this going to happen? When is this going to happen? I don't want that to like be my pervasive thought for the midweek. Ideally, I want to like release myself from that. The Time Master to me speaks to that idea of releasing ourselves from that. When we have the Time Master here, to me, and I haven't read this card before, but look at him. He's he's a wise man. He understands what he has a, how do I want to say this? He's comfortable with the time, right? Or he has an awareness. He's been around a long time. He has all of the different colors in his coat here, right? He is looking to the future in my mind as I see him. He's looking to the future, yet he's not worried about how much time he has. He's sort of mastered that idea that time is really an illusion. That's what allows us to go into this chrysalis, or this incubation period at the end of the week, to really transform ourselves, to connect to our emotions, to connect to our spirit, to begin the process of healing ourselves, looking at our dreams, looking at what we want. I also was going to say too, the night sky in the death card was telling me sort of to pay attention to our dreams in the early part of the week. For some of you, and there's still some of that dream work happening here in this Spirit card, Spirit of Cups. But this Time Master, he's sort of the theme this week, in the sense that I feel like he's showing up to remind us that time is an illusion, that we are maybe smarter, wiser, more capable of handling this stuff than we realize. I am going to read Time Master's medicine, or story, really quick. We go to 57. And then we'll do the bottom of the deck, the grounding stone, and then the bottom of the deck energy. If you guys don't have your question yet, please formulate it in your mind. So, the Time Master. Time is a construct of the human mind through which life events are seen to flow in a straight line from past to future. This, however, is an illusion. Time moves in patterns, fractals, sometimes turning like a wheel, and others moving straight as an arrow. Humans see time like a ticking clock, and this image reminds us that there is only so much of it to spend in a life, like a kind of currency. At any given moment, you can see time in all of its infinite potential, at once vast and all-encompassing, then shrunken and finite. It all depends on perspective. The invitation: when the Time Master visits you, he asks a most important question. Will you break free from limited cause and effect thinking by moving beyond the linear illusion and welcoming the cyclical quality of time? You find yourself in a moment when the wheel of time turns and you're able to influence the past, thus changing the present and future simultaneously. This is the true test of the Time Master. You're being invited to take back your power, so let go of the past and choose to step into your life. In this moment, you are all powerful. You are the Time Master. Anything is possible now. Now, I just want to say this really quick because it's interesting with Time Master and the story that he has about stepping into the past or releasing ourselves from this past. That may be this Hangman energy and this Death card, guys. That's this profound sort of change or shift that happens where it brings us to this Spirit of Cups where we start to transform ourselves emotionally and incubate and find a new aspect of self, a new relationship to self, right? The medicine. Sometimes it appears that you are running out of time. There's that word of time. You worry you won't get what you need or want. Everything gets stuck like a logjam. This is only in your mind. Time expands and contracts according to your ability to be mindful and observant. Fully engaged in your quote unquote now, it's time to release the story of your past. Equally, it's time to release your need to know the details of the future. All the treasure magically reveals itself when you remain relaxed and present to what is directly in front of you and nothing else. Then you realize you have all the time in the world. You can never run out of it. That's kind of profound. And I love that he's facing the future, maybe not knowing. We certainly don't know what happens in this transformation for each and every one of us. And this Death card. But if we sort of release ourselves to it, if we release ourselves to it, we open ourselves up to all kinds of different opportunities, I believe. So the grounding stone for this week is friends. When I think of friends, like I've said this before, I believe, that this makes me think of like our friends, right? Our buddies and things like that, our relationships that we cultivate, that we love. Some of you might be letting some of those go. That's with this Death in this Hangman card. But I also want to speak to the idea of friends being like the element of spirit, or this like angel here, reminding ourselves that we have guardian angels, that we have spirit guides, that we have connections to our own sort of spirit, our own relationship. Treating ourselves like we are our own friend this week, or how we would treat a good friend. Putting some of that love to ourselves, I feel like, is part of this week. Relying on our friends during this week would also be kind of a good idea. Helping our friends, being of service to them. That's sort of that Spirit of Cups card too, that nightly service that we see towards the week's end. To me, I feel like this is about relationships and where we're fed by them versus where things are taken. Does that make sense? So we want to look at the relationships around us, and are they fulfilling us? Are they feeding us? Are they friendly? Are we connected to them? Do they support us? Are we supporting back? Are we supporting ourselves? Because it feels like we're going to need it this week, especially with Death and the Hangman in the beginning of the week. And then the Spirit of Cups, to me, feels so, just the art alone feels like a transformation is taking place where we might need the support. We're definitely supporting ourselves in that card, I feel like, but we might need external support also while we go through this transformation. The bottom of the deck energy, if you guys have your question prepared, this is the Ten of Cups. So the Ten of Cups is all about emotional abundance. When I'm looking at this egg to me feels extremely balanced. Again, we have this imagery. I'm going to just share this with you. We have this circular imagery of the Hangman swirling around him in the midweek that looks a little bit painful, that looks a little bit distressing, distraught, that sort of thing. As we get clearer from that, or we release ourselves from that, we allow ourselves by the week's end to go into another sort of chrysalis or opportunity to emotionally explore who we are, what we need, what we want, transform those desires, allow those desires to take root, allow ourselves to sort of be reborn into this idea of service to ourselves, service to our friends. Where do our spirit and our emotions meet, and how do we carry those that meeting or that desire out into the world? With this Ten of Cups, I feel like this egg is still about that sort of incubation period, that rebirth. I feel like we have, what are these elements? It's like you have this balance symbol, right? It almost reminds me of Libra, but these scales here. speak to the idea of being balanced. The moon speaks to the higher self or the intuition. The fire to me speaks to almost like just where it's positioned, and the redness of it, it speaks to like desire, uh, the connection, spiritual connection to the earth, the drive, the determination that is there. And I don't know what this is. Is this earth? Or is it a rock? Maybe it's a rock right here, which to me would speak to this idea of strength, steadiness, especially being across from this balanced scale. Tens are always about completions, guys. So whatever your question was, if it was, should I leave? Should I quit this? To me, this feels like, I would say emotionally, you can trust your answers. I would say if your question was around ending something or putting an end to something, I would say this card would be a yes to that. I would say that for some of you, I'm just going to put this out there, this egg makes me feel like we might need some time a little bit to allow ourselves to move forward, but the 10 is always about sort of completion, emotionally feeling complete, emotionally feeling done, being aware of that, and in that awareness and in that strength, we sort of bring about the strength of this rock, the burning desire of this fire, the intuition of the moon, the balance of the scales. It's like this opportunity to sort of reset, readjust, feel abundant and fulfilled emotionally, and also be able to move on to new things. That's this egg too, is like this idea of rebirth. So I hope that makes sense to your question. For some of you, this 10 of Cups could also be about the creation of something new. That's the giant egg. And that creation, depending on what you've put into it, will bring about this balance of these four sort of symbols. To me, this is balance, intuition, desire or spirit, and this strength or stability of this sort of rock. So I feel like this is a positive answer or outcome to whatever your question may have been. There might be some patience involved for some of you. You might need to be patient. This egg needs time to sort of break open and show you everything, but take heart in the fact that whatever your question was, I feel like this is a positive outcome. You need to trust your feelings. You need to get in touch with your feelings and your emotions around the situation. Maybe some of you might need to clean those emotions up. That might be what's going on in this spirit of Cups here, is that cleaning up of those emotions. But this 10 of Cups does speak to the idea that whatever you want to have happen this week, there is an opportunity for it to be reborn or to change in a positive way that's more suited to you. This has been a really long reading. I'm sorry I've gone so long. Thank you all for tuning in. I look forward to seeing you the rest of this week, and we will have a new deck soon. Please tune in this week, and also the June Tarot for 2020 are out. Please have a look at those, and I look forward to seeing you guys very soon. Please like, share, comment, subscribe. Check out my Patreon page if you'd like to support me there, or just follow me, and you know the drill. All right? I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you for tuning in, and have a great day. All right. Bye-bye.